Has Toyota brought sexy back? In 2022, the Toyota Corolla Cross launched as a lifted crossover version of one of the most iconic cars ever. However, this was arguably one of the most vanilla cars out there you could buy. 3 years on, and it's midlife facelift time. That means there are new looks inside and out, as well as new tech and bling to catch your attention. So stick with me as we find out whether this is the pick of the small hybrid SUVs. On test here is the flagship Corolla Cross trim, the Atmos Hybrid all-wheel drive, which currently starts at $50,990 before on roads. That's a fair chunk of change for a small SUV. If this is too much, the lineup starts at just over $37,000 before on roads. It's worth noting there's a fair bit of overlap with the Corolla Cross and the larger RAV4. For the price of our top spec tester, you can get a mid-spec RAV4 Cruiser. Ultimately, this comes down to whether you prefer a bigger size or equipment list. Speaking of the latter, this Corolla Cross is stacked with standard kit. Equipment highlights include 18-inch alloy wheels, LED headlights, a panoramic glass sunroof, 12-inch digital instrument cluster, 10.5-inch touchscreen multimedia system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, 9-speaker JBL premium sound system, heated and ventilated front seats, as well as premium leather accented upholstery. For the full specification details, read my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au. I always thought the Corolla Cross was a little too generic looking here on the outside. Thankfully, the update has fixed this. The major updates are here at the front. There's a new grille setup with hexagonal honeycomb cutouts, new LED headlights that are connected by a section that illuminates at night. Around the side there are new alloy wheel designs here on the Atmos trim, and at the back there are new LED tail lights. Inside the changes are subtle. The most noticeable is this. It's a new center console setup with a chunkier gear selector and ambient lighting that wraps around the outside. While I think it looks nice, I'm not a huge fan of the glossy piano black finish. Sure, it looks nice now, but it's already starting to get dusty and grimy, and then when you wipe it clean, it's gonna get scratched. Beyond this, it's very clearly still a Corolla Cross. In classic Toyota fashion, there is somewhat of a sea of black finishes. While there are some soft finishes here on the dashboard, you don't have to look far to find some scratchier ones. In terms of practicality, I want to give these front seats a major shout out. They are really comfortable. Here in the driver's seat, their bolsters are nice and tight so they hug you in. And this driver's seat is also electrically adjustable, so you'll be able to find a perfect driving position for you. Ahead of the driver, this is a leather wrapped steering wheel that feels lovely to hold, and there are physical buttons on here, which are great. Then there's also a digital instrument cluster that allows you to choose a bunch of different pages and widgets. It's great to be able to customize this exactly how you would like. Moving across, there is a large touchscreen multimedia system that has both wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Connection with this has been great with my iPhone throughout my entire week of testing. There's also a wireless charger here on the center console, allowing you to keep your phone's battery topped up while you're driving. If you're not a fan of using smartphone mirroring, thankfully the native user interface in this Toyota car is very easy to use. You won't be getting lost thanks to the shortcut buttons on the side. Beyond this, I want to talk about the amount of physical buttons. I know I talked about it here on the steering wheel, but there are lots of physical buttons and dials, which is really good to see. Very easy to use here on the move. You don't have to be prodding into menus upon sub-menus to change easy things like the temperature. Other things to note here in terms of practicality are there are 2 cup holders, a center console box, as well as a glove box. Here in the second row, you need to remember that this is a small SUV. If you're wanting to use these seats more often and are wanting something larger, you'll need to look at a medium-sized SUV like a RAV4. But for context, however, I'm 182 centimeters tall and I'm behind my own driving position. As you can see, I have an okay amount of leg room. Toe room, however, is fantastic. Headroom could be better, but that's due to this glass panoramic roof. It's worth noting with this in particular, it's a static unit that doesn't actually open, despite it looking like it should. In terms of how many people you'll be able to get back here, I think 2 adults would be okay. Pushing it to 3 would make things get a little bit squishy here in terms of shoulder room. There is also a hump here in the center, which would make the center occupant feel a little bit crouched, and also you would have to share your foot space with the other passengers. In terms of amenities, there are some air vents, 2 USB-C ports, a singular cup holder here on the door as there are no bottle holders down lower, and lastly, a fold-down armrest with some cup holders. There is a hands-free power tailgate that opens and closes just like that. Beeps are still quite loud. Here for the boot space itself, it's decent but not standout. There's 380 litres of boot space with the rear seats upright, expanding to 2,000 litres with them folded. It's worth noting the all-wheel drive trims have slightly less boot space than the front-wheel drive trims. In terms of amenities, there is a load cover and a few hooks, and here in the Atmos, there's also a JBL speaker for the subwoofer. Under the boot floor, it's worth noting in this trim there is no spare wheel at all. That's because the rear electric motor takes up that space. Instead, there's only a tyre repair kit. If you opt for the front-wheel drive trims, you do get a space-saver spare wheel. Just like last year, the entire Corolla Cross trim comes with a hybrid powertrain. Power comes from a 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine with 2 electric motors here in all-wheel drive trim, 1 on each axle. Total system output is 146 kilowatts, with drive sent through an eCVT through an all-wheel drive system. It's worth noting there is no power difference between the front-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive trims. Where there is difference, however, is the fuel consumption. The Corolla Cross Atmos Hybrid all-wheel drive is claimed to consume 4.4 litres per 100 kilometres on the combined cycle, according to ADR testing. This is 0.2 litres per 100 kilometres higher than the front-wheel drive trims. During my testing, I saw an average of 5 litres per 100 kilometres according to the trip computer, which is fine, though on one particular drive into the office with heavy traffic, I achieved 3.7 litres per 100 kilometres. Now that is jaw-dropping. Alrighty, we're behind the wheel of the updated Corolla Cross. When you first start up this car, it typically starts in EV mode. Unless the engine is completely cold, it'll then usually fire up the engine to get the engine fluids warmed up. Once that is done, the engine typically does turn off and you can do the majority of your driving on EV power. It's surprising just how much EV driving can be done on this car, and it's really quiet as well. Once the battery gets drained down a little further, or if you push the accelerator just that little bit harder, the engine does kick on yet again. There is a seamless transition from electric to petrol. You don't really feel it, although you can hear it. Once you push the accelerator just that little bit harder, the petrol engine does sound a little strained. It's not the best sound ever. In terms of performance, this car is just rather adequate. It's not a performance car at the end of the day. As I just mentioned, the petrol engine does sound a little strained when you push the accelerator just that little bit harder, although the electric motor does help with the assistance of getting off the light quite zippy-like. When you're coming to a stop, there is regen braking. There's only one mode for this, but it is great at being able to wash off the speed, especially when you're going down hills for some engine braking. It means you don't have to rely on the brakes near as much. When you're coming to a complete stop though, you do have to use the brake pedal. And the transition from the regen braking to the friction brakes can be a little grabby. You need to be prepared to modulate the brake pedal, otherwise you'll be slamming the brakes. With the suspension, this is one of this car's sweet spots. It balances comfort and sport quite nicely. I think Goldilocks would approve. It rounds out a lot of these rougher bumps just here, and when you go over speed bumps, it's no stress whatsoever. It just makes this car really comfortable to drive, and this is felt once you get out on the open road. It makes for a very comfortable cruiser. With the steering, it does err a little bit on the heavier side, but I prefer it that way. It makes this car feel dynamic and direct to drive. It's also a little nimble too. Overall, this makes this fun to drive in the city and out on the open road. In terms of parking, this is also another great point of this car. There are front and rear parking sensors as well as a surround view camera that has great quality. If this is all too much as well, there's also a semi-autonomous park assist that takes all of the hard thinking out of it. It actually can read the lines of the parking spots rather than just placing the car between two parked vehicles. It's really handy, although it does make parking a little on the slow side. Out on the open road, the petrol engine does stay on fairly constantly, although I did have a few moments where the petrol engine would switch off at around 80 k's an hour and you'd be traveling on electric power alone, which is pretty cool. In terms of NVH, which stands for noise, vibration and harshness, this is a very quiet car. Thanks to it primarily being electric for the most part, it's very quiet, although the petrol engine does ruin some of that ambience. Thankfully also there are no rattles in the cabin here at this stage, so that speaks to good long-term reliability. The only thing you may hear is the climate control. It can get quite loud here on the inside, but thankfully it's a Toyota climate control system, so in the summer you can have great air conditioning. Lastly, I want to talk about the safety systems. There have been no bings and bongs whatsoever in this car, and it's fantastic. The only thing that sometimes causes me a little bit of grief is the lane keep assist system. It activates from around 60 kilometers an hour, and it can be a little hands-on if you err a little too close to the marked line. I can tell Toyota has put a lot of thought into this car. I really appreciate how there are no annoying chimes and sounds that play, because ultimately that would make me hate driving this car. The Corolla Cross has a 5-star NCAP safety rating based on testing conducted by Euro NCAP in 2022. This covers all variants apart from the new GR Sport trim. Standard equipment includes 8 airbags, AEB, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, as well as front and rear parking sensors. Owners also get 1 year of complimentary access to connected services which allow for SOS emergency calling, plus a range of remote features via a smartphone companion app. Opting for the GXL and above gets you a surround view camera and vehicle detection for the low speed front and rear AEB. It's all fairly standard on this front. Like all Toyotas, there's a 5-year unlimited kilometre vehicle warranty. If you service at Toyota dealers, however, you get 2 additional years of engine coverage, bringing the total to 7 years. The high voltage battery warranty coverage can also be extended up to 10 years if you service at Toyota dealers. Logbook servicing is required every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, whichever comes first. The first 5 services are capped at $255 each. This is incredibly affordable and is only beaten by Honda. The Toyota Corolla Cross is an incredibly sensible choice if you're after a car, but you're not a car person. Everything is where you think it is, and it all just works without you having to put too much thought in it. This update has dialed up the looks to make it not look so generic anymore. It's a perfect in-between for the Corolla and the RAV4. I'd urge you to take a look at the front-wheel drive trims unless you really want all-wheel drive. You'll save more fuel, and you also get the flexibility of having a spare wheel. Thank you for watching. For more, and to read my detailed written review, head to carsguide.com.au.